Hi there, Bill Hitchcock. Got a fantastic fishing report to get out to you. Today is Friday, May 16th when we're doing this, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. I do want to give you a little bit of a heads up. This past week has been a very interesting weather week along the coast of North Carolina, so it's going to be interesting this weekend, but we'll talk about that a little later on. So the fishing report will be rather quote-unquote interesting, but let's get on to it. Go up to the Nags Head area. Jeanette's and Nags Head Pier have been reporting pretty much the same thing. They've been talking about bluefish, the perpetual bluefish that's been going on, except these haven't been really the chopper blues, more the snapper blues, Spanish mackerel and sea mullet. Now, these piers are north of Oregon Inlet where the cool water has been. But when you go south of Oregon Inlet where the warmer waters are, up to 70, 72 degrees, Rodanthe Pier, look, drum. I love this. Jim from Kentucky and Tim from Virginia just caught and released these nice drum. Now, if you see Tim's head cut off, so did he in the post. And he goes on, Tim goes on and says, I will now be known as the headless fisherman of Sleepy Rodanthe Pier. You got to have a sense of humor. And speaking of heads, don't I look like Max Headroom from the TV show out of the 80s? Just a big head in the square here. Anyway, I'm old. TW's Bait and Tackle in Kill Devil Hills, cobia, Speechless Sport Fishing out of Pirates Cove, Manio, tuna and dolphin, In-Game out of Oregon Inlet Fishing Center, tuna and dolphin. Now you may recall it was a couple of weeks ago I said the fishing reports for the offshore fleet is going to start sounding boring here for the next couple of months because almost every day we're going to hear tuna, dolphin, wahoo, and tuna, dolphin, wahoo, interspersed with blue and or white marlin, possibly a sailfish. It's just that time of year. Although the fishing reports might be repetitive, they're fantastic. So just congratulations to all of those folks. Wanchese marina, mahi, some blackfin tuna, yellowfin tuna, and sailfish released on the sea hag, inshore cobia, bluefish, drum, king mackerel, Spanish mackerel, and triggerfish, and speckled trout. Now, by the way, you will hear during this fishing report some reports of speckled trout and possibly some reports of flounder. Everybody reporting on these know that the seasons are closed when we're doing this for both of those fish. So no hate mail, no posts on YouTube. I don't like, yes, they know, but you still catch them. You just can't keep them. You got to let them go. All right, Hatteras Island. Frank and Fran's, their fishing report from yesterday, Thursday, May 15th. They say a few big sharks this morning, yearling drum last night in Buxton and Hatteras Inlet. We did get a picture from Corey of a nice bluefish, that is, on Frisco Beach this evening. And speaking of Frisco, Frisco Rod and Gun reports sound water temperatures 72, 75 degrees. Ocean water temperatures 70 degrees. Now Frisco's on the north beach of Hatteras, about midway through there. And again, it was about a week, not 2 weeks ago, I was talking about how the sound water temperature, here, I'm just going to see if I got that handy here. Hang on a minute. I've been talking about this for a little bit of time. Here we go. Take a look at this. Take a look at Pamlico Sound. I'll get my big old pumpkin head out of the way. It is not as warm as the Gulf Stream, but close to it. Look at the beach right in front of it. It is warmer than the beach water temperature. Now, up until about, I don't know, 7-10 days ago, it was the exact opposite. All during the wintertime, the Pamlico Sound has been colder than the beach water temperature. Now that we're going into summertime, it's going to be warmer. And for simple reasons, the Pamlico Sound at its deepest is like 20, 25 feet deep. And then we've got the Atlantic Ocean, so the inside waters are influenced by the environmental conditions such as the radiant heat and air temperature and everything like that. So, but also take a look, I don't know if you can see it, I'll point it up graphically up here at Oregon Inlet. That's where the cooler waters are. Now remember, I just made mention that up there in Nags Head at Jeanette's Pier and Nags Head Pier that they're catching the bluefish Spanish, but once you go south of Oregon Inlet, it starts warming up, and that's where the drum were. All right, I'm just going to leave that up there because I think it looks nice. Bluefish, by the way, are now being caught in the Neuse River. And that means Spanish mackerel are there as well. Chase, let's go on down. Frisco Rod and Gun. They're saying bluefish, croaker, flounder, red drum, and sea mullet in the surf. Bluefish, red drum, sheep's head, and speckled trout out of the surf. So again, we're looking at these water temperatures that are making a difference. Bluefish in the Neuse River. Again, like I said, that means Spanish mackerel will be there as well. That's warm as can be. Tarpon will be showing up very soon. Chasing tails out of Morehead City. Steve Chase with a 55-pound dolphin caught off of the Bill Collector, which is a Morehead City offshore charter boat. And speaking, let's go on with Chasing Tails. This is 6-pound speckled trout, over slot and slot red drum, flounder, bluefish, bonito, and gray trout. That's what's been going on the past couple of days out of the Atlantic Beach area. Again, Chasing Tails is the second business on the right when you cross over the high-rise bridge. Stop on by and say thank you. Now let me show you the Bill Collector, the same fella, Steve Chase, with that big old 55-pound dolphin. And by the way, I think Chasing Tails said that's the biggest dolphin they've weighed there. Now, tuna dolphin wahoo, and I said every now and then we get to see some marlin. Let's go to the sensation, fantastic video of a blue marlin. A release, a blue marlin. Really, there's, an experienced charter boat captain and an experienced mate are going to be able to get a good guesstimate of the size of a marlin. The big rock now, it's got to be, tournament's got to be at least 400 pounds. It used to be 300 pounds. It used to be nothing for a long time ago. And these guys can look at them and get a pretty good idea of how big or small they are, and which makes releases very, very easy. Congratulations to the sensation, the charter boat sensation, which is on the Morehead City waterfront. Way to go, guys. Now let's go out to Hatteras Island. Going Broke Charters. They're a viewer. They sent this, they contacted me and sent me these pictures and this information. It says, hey Bill, enjoy the show. Dave with Going Broke Charters out of Hatteras Island. Spanish bite is crazy. Catching 2 and 3 at a time on mackerel trees. We actually had 4 on at one point and one shook off of the boat. The mackerel trees, I went on and asked him a little bit more. He said the Clark Spoon mackerel tree was a ticket, ran one on the bird, one on a 2-ounce trolling weight, and a number 2 planer, along with a regular old spoon. This is what the Clark Spoon mackerel tree looks like. I wasn't totally familiar with it. I'm not a Spanish mackerel fisherman, but I am familiar with Clark spoons. But this is the type of rig that they were running, that Dave was running. Thank you, Dave, for sending in that information. If you would like to send in your pictures of fish caught, if you got pictures of rigs used, tactics, anything, billhitchcock@mail.com, billhitchcock@mail.com. Email me. You can post it on YouTube, but that gets lost in the wash sometimes. If you want to get up with me, billhitchcock@mail.com. That comes to me directly. Now let's move on down. Emerald Isle Charters could not get out of the inlet, and you're going to hear that a lot in these fishing reports. So we hit the marsh. Look at that drum. Drum, perpetual year-round fish, drum. Bogey Inlet Pier, bluefish, Spanish mackerel, and sea mullet. Now this is also Ray's Inshore Adventures out of Sneed's Ferry. They couldn't get out of the end, or actually it says storms pushed out around noon, and we hit the river, and I assume he's talking about the New River. We're on struggle bus for the first hour or so, then the bite turned on. Our first fish was a beautiful trout. Eva's biggest by a long shot. We caught more rays than we could count with a few small reds mixed in, so we decided to come home for a bit and then head back out for redfish. And they did. So congratulations to those folks at Ray's Inshore Adventures. Now, state record. State certifies white trevally for new species state record. Thomas Wu of Wilmington caught a 19-pound, 3.2-ounce fish offshore Wrightsville Beach on May 8th, 2025. Wu was fishing approximately 55 miles offshore, south of Wrightsville Beach in 150 feet of water when the fish struck his slow pitch jig. The fish measured 32.2 inches fork, 37.8 total. So we have a new state record. Congratulations to Thomas Wu. And I'm really impressed by it was just May 8th when it was caught. It only took them 2 weeks Less than 2 weeks. So congratulations. All right, moving on down the coastline. Southern Run fishing charters, Cobia, Grouper, and AJ. Fish Witch out of Carolina Beach, a 6-hour live bait trip, catching a limit of jacks and a bonus gag. Seaview Pier, North Topsail Beach, water temperature 71.4 degrees. And that holds up to it. I don't know why I just leaned back. That's all right. I don't know why I do half of the things I do. Johnny Mercer's Pier, ring-tailed pinfish, which is not common necessarily off of a pier. Ladyfish, in Carteret County, they're known as long mullet, which is also something that's not necessarily common. But what is common is bluefish. Also, Carlos Pena with a 19-pound king with an assist of Rick Dove. It looks like Rick is pretty experienced with that gaff. Now, this is what I want to show you. I captured some video off of Johnny Mercer's Pier about 2 days ago. And this is what I want you to see. Number one, look at the guy that has got his rod pointing down to the ground and he's jerking it. That fella is fishing for bluefish and Spanish mackerel with a gotcha plug. That is the traditional method where you take your rod, point it down, and you jerk it like this as you're retrieving the gotcha plug. Why? The gotcha plug head is at an angle, and when you jerk it, it will dart one way, and then you jerk it again, it'll dart the other way. So the entire time, the gotcha plug is doing this, and hopefully I put up a picture of the gotcha plug. Now, what those guys will do if they catch like a bluefish is they'll walk to the end of the pier and king mackerel fish, live bait, with the bluefish they just caught. Now look at the end of Johnny Mercer's Pier. Can you see those two different rods that are together? One's like a tall one that's standing up and another one's a shorter one that's kind of bent over. Well, take a look. Let's see if I got this here. Those are they're king mackerel fishing. That's what they're doing. And I want to show you this little graph here. It's a trolley rig set up for king mackerel fishing. Now, what happens is that big rod is what's known as the anchor line. You see that big rod with a line, and it casts out, and you see the sand anchor. It anchors up, and from that, you take the shorter rod with your live bait that's on a clip. That clip goes down the anchor line until your bait is either surface or just underneath the surface swimming. So a king mackerel is cruising on up and down the beach. He sees a live bait just kind of hanging out there, and he goes, oh, look, easy pickings, and boom. And when that king, or tarpon, or I don't know if you're targeting something else, hits that live bait, it snaps the snap that holds it to the anchor line, and now it's free from that anchor line, and the king mackerel fisherman can use that rod and reel as a standalone entity while that anchor line stays out there, and when you're ready to re-rig, you can just slide it on back down there. And by the way, I don't know if it's in any of this video, sometimes you'll see the guys walk over to their king rig and they'll jiggle it. They're trying to position the live bait in the water. And again, it's usually from surface down to 1-2 feet or so. So if you happen to, which I've, with camera, been lucky enough to be shooting in the water on the live bait swimming when something comes on up and whops it. Also, the larger bluefish can go after that as well. Let me go on and change this graph up. I guess I should, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. So that's the Johnny Mercer's Pier. What else have we got here? The Ocean Isle Beach. A viewer by the name of Jake Jacobs writes me and he goes, hey Bill, love your fishing reports. However, not much said on Ocean Isle Beach surf fishing. You got it. It's, as I've been talking about, it's very difficult to get fishing report information down in that neck of the woods. So Jake says, here you go, Bill. He said, here's my report with some pictures if you're interested. Yes, I am. He goes turkey season. He says, now that turkey season is over, I'll be surf fishing out of Ocean Isle Beach most mornings till deer season. Good man. He says, my first day out this year on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, he got this 34-inch bonnet head shark. So in totality, he got 6 whiting, 6 sea mullets, or 6 Virginia mullet, or 6 whiting, same thing. That small shark and an 18.5-inch black drum using fresh shrimp and cut bait. I'll be back at it tomorrow morning. Enjoy. Thank you, Jake, for sending in that information. Thank you, everybody, for the fellow from Hatteras Island for sending in that information. Open, billhitchcock@mail.com, billhitchcock@mail.com. Send us your pictures, send us your reports, tell us your baits, tactics, techniques, whatever it is, anything that you can pass along. And again, I'm not interested in your secret fishing spot. If you want to give it away, that's fine, but just I'm not really concerned about that. Now, let me jump into, I'm going to make a different program. There's a $20,000 reward in regards to a dolphin in the Wrightsville Beach, Wilmington area, and I'm going to do a special segment about that as a standalone entity. But let's move forward. I wanted to get this out so you go back to the seawater surface temperatures. Again, Pamlico Sound is heating up by this August, going into September. There'll be places on some of the offshoot tributaries where it'll be 90 to 100 degrees. It'll get rid of all the dissolved oxygen. We'll have fish kills, wimpy fish like little shad, peanut, menhaden. They'll die. You'll hear about fish kills, but this is why the water's getting so hot that they do that. But take a look. Remember just a short while ago, that cold water that wrapped around the Hatteras all the way down to Ocracoke, it is now almost gone. You can see it migrating north. Go up there to Oregon Inlet, go on up towards Corolla. You can see that the water temperatures are in the upper 50s, in the lower 60s. Once you get on down to Hatteras, now we're, like the reports we got, 70 degrees, and it's about consistent all the way down the coast of North Carolina. These will continue to warm up. Gulf Stream's pushing 80 degrees. The Gulf Stream will move in closer as the closer in we get to summertime. And the fishing activity will just be absolutely ballistic. But the other thing, with the changing of these water temperatures, evening out rather, we're going to start getting an evening out of the fish reports and fish catches. They'll be normalized up and down the coast of North Carolina. Now, if you're thinking about going fishing this weekend, as we all know, when you're along the coast particularly, the weather can change in the drop of a hat, in an instant. So any fishing report, take with a grain of salt. But as it stands right now on Friday, National Weather Service is talking about air temperatures from the Cape Lookout, Carteret County area north. The highs are only going to be around 80, 81 degrees. But when you go down to the Cape Fear area, highs are going to be around 90, 91, 92 degrees. It's going to be windy, I think it's on Saturday, with gusts up to 25, 30 miles an hour, just on Saturday, I believe it is. It's for a short period of time from the Cape Lookout area north. It won't be as windy like that in the Cape Fear area. Thunderstorms, you've got a chance, around 30-40% chance that they're talking about from the Cape Lookout area north, but they don't have that kind of chance down in the Cape Fear area where it's going to be very, very warm. So just be cognizant of your environment when you're there. Just because your favorite weatherman says it's not going to rain, just trust me. There's a great chance of a little storm coming up and hitting you. It is going to be very warm down in the Cape Fear area. Looks like it's going to be windy up in the Cape Lookout north area, at least for a day. So just always be cognizant of your environment and where you are, and don't be surprised if you look over your shoulder and go, where did that cloud come from? So anyway, all right, that's enough of that. I'll get in with that dolphin report as a separate entity where a $20,000 reward is out for one that washed up dead in the Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach area. Enough of that. Again, contact me if you have information, if there's anything I can do for you. Until then, I'm Bill Hitchcock. See ya.